It's crazy how enjoyable a film with a beginning, middle, and end is. Like, what a novel idea. You know what I mean? Like, wow. What? Only a genius like James Gunn could possibly put a beginning, middle, and end on his movies. Like, my gosh.
And now you've lost him to DC.
Oh, well.
Oh well, and they don't have, and the fan base don't have faith with him over there.
You know what's funny? I met James Gunn. Had no clue who he was. No clue. I met James Gunn and his brother in Atlanta at MomoCon. So this was just before Guardians was going to come out. No one knew who the Guardians of the Galaxy were. At least I didn't. And he was sitting at the booth, him and his brother, shoulder to shoulder. No one was at the booth. Empty. Everyone was everywhere else. He was just by himself. And I was just like, oh, who are you guys? He's like, oh, I'm James Gunn. I'm directing Guardians of the Galaxy for Marvel. And I'm like, okay, that's going to fucking bomb. And I just walked away. And I think about that all the time. I didn't think anything about it. I was like, okay.
Yo, naive ass.
I had no clue. No clue. Now he runs all of DC.
Hello. We come in peace.
Wait! Before we get into this action-packed, awesome Marvel film, please do us a favor. Hit that subscribe button right at the bottom.
Why would you say it like that? Is there something special about this?
I think the word film is very important when you say this, because Marvel movies have not been a film from beginning, middle, and end consistently since Infinity War. You can throw in Endgame in there too. But after that, downhill. Yep. Okay. With a little slip-ups here with Shang-Chi, but everything else?
Slip-ups.
Okay.
You're totally right. Like, when I saw Ant-Man, I was like, why did I ever like Marvel? This shit is everything I hate about movies right now. Everything. And it really put me in a funny mood. But then I saw Guardians 3, and I was like, oh yeah, this used to be fun. What happened to that? I haven't seen this Marvel in a long time. It's like seeing an old friend. And he's like, hey, and you're like, oh, it's been forever, man. It was the last time I seen you.
Oh, man. I'm telling you, like, that is the best example you can say for this film. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is like seeing an old friend that you have not seen in a long time. Oh, so snap. Yeah. It's Captain America Winter Soldier. What up, dog?
Yeah. And he's like, oh, it's been good to see you. Like, no. I do hugs.
Yeah, I do hugs.
Come on, bring it in there. Talk that.
Yeah, I'm in there, dog. I'm in there, dog.
You talking in there?
And then all of a sudden, here comes Immortals. Hey, man, stay back.
Yeah. You can't come in. Oh, Eternals. That's what you meant, but whatever.
Oh, shit. See?
Whatever it's called.
Immortals,
whatever.
Eternals.
Don't
whatever. Oh, Black Widow ass.
Black who? Never heard of him. Never heard of him.
The movie that should have came out right after Iron Man 2.
Yeah, for real. Jeez.
Okay, let's get
anyway,
back to
I think there's a movie we're supposed to be talking about, right?
Yes, Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is the completion of James Gunn's run at Marvel Studios. You got everyone back. You have Star-Lord, you have Mantis, you have Drax, you have Groot, you have, what's her name? Karen Gilliam. What's her name?
Oh, Gamora.
No, Karen Gilliam.
Oh, Nebula.
You got Nebula, and you got Zoe Saldana back as
Gamora.
As Gamora. You just said it. And of course, you have Rocket Raccoon, which is what this film revolves around. Now, I've seen in interviews where James Gunn has said that since the beginning of him doing Guardians of the Galaxy, he always wanted to tell the story of how Rocket, like, he came to be. Like, how is he talking? How is he having a gun? How is all this happening? And we see it in this. And it is a heartwarming, also heart-wrenching story that he put together. Yeah, Rocket Raccoon is under captive by the High Evolutionary, which is played by Chuck Woogie. I know I got his name right.
Nailed it.
And he is ruthless in this film.
One of the things I think makes this movie exceptional and really interesting is this is by far the darkest Marvel movie I've ever seen. They introduce characters that are very innocent looking. They're like little animals, and they freaking kill some animals. Now, in my opinion, stay with me here. I think most people are okay if you kill a human. But I know if you kill an animal in a movie, this really upsets people. Particularly these people. They really don't
like
like
a pink person that you just pointed to right there.
That's it. A pink person. That's it.
Yeah, pink person.
they are very sensitive with killing animals. In this movie, I think wisely puts a lot of very cute and fuzzy animals right in the crosshairs. And they pull that damn trigger a couple times now, okay? So, yeah, they blow them away. And I'm like, whoa. So this movie does that a lot. It puts a little innocent raccoon right there in the crosshairs, and it tears him apart, rips him up, puts him back together, puts a little rabbit out there, pulls his arms off, puts on spider legs. Like, this movie is absolutely dark, absolutely ruthless when it comes to its characters. And I love that. You should never, ever be nice to your characters. Being nice to your characters is boring as hell. Like, you got to be mean. You got to put them through peril. And that's what we have here. Rocket's past has always been shrouded in mystery because he just never spoke about it. But when Rocket goes through an accident, we finally dive into Rocket's mind and we see how he came to be. We see the torture that he went through and the people that he loved, who some of them survived and some of them didn't. It's very dramatic.
Now let's talk about the issue that I had with this film, because this film is not perfect on two accounts for me.
Okay.
The first one being the High Evolutionary. I like him as a villain, very, very convincing as a villain. But I just thought that his tone was up and down on certain places where he would he would do Leonardo DiCaprio stuff sometimes, and then he would be like, "Just kill him." Another part that's the bigger part. Adam Warlock being wasted. Okay,
I think that's a big issue. I agree.
Yeah, they made him doofusy. Okay,
right. He's kind of a minion, really, to the High Evolutionary. The High Evolutionary kind of sends him out to go pick up Rocket Raccoon, and that's not a role that I'm particularly familiar with Adam Warlock being in. Adam Warlock is supposed to be one of the most powerful characters in the MCU, and to see him kind of doofusy and like not understanding things and confused all the time, and they're like, "Oh, we took him out of his chamber a little too early." I do agree that does kind of piss all over the character of Adam Warlock, which is again in the comics a very powerful and interesting character. But I will actually disagree with you on the High Evolutionary. I actually really liked the High Evolutionary like quite a bit. His introduction, I thought, was a really interesting and compelling look at who this guy was. When we see him, he walks up and he wants to, get in her face, but he's kind of short. So they give him a little stool to step on, and then he gets on the stool, And so I thought that was really funny because that's who he is, right? He's a small man trying to artificially make himself big. And as soon as he stood on that little thing, I felt like, oh, I get you.
He has a Napoleon concept.
He does. Yes, he does. And it's funny because they seem to insinuate like some of his body might be cybernetic. Like, how come they don't just give him like some cybernetic legs or something, dog? Yeah. Help the brother out.
With him being like the bad guy in this film, I didn't have the issue with that. It's just maybe his inflection in his tone is the only thing that just threw me off a tad bit. It's not like I didn't think that he was horrible, because in some cases, I think this guy might take Kang's place in my mind.
Hey, you know what? You're not wrong. Like, I felt he was more of a threat than Kang ever was. And when we get towards the end, when Rocket faces him again, Like, I wanted Rocket to kick his ass.
His
You know what I
ass.
mean? I'm like, do it. You know, I never felt that for Kang. So I'm kind of with you. You know, I liked this guy a gajillion times more than the guy I think we're supposed to like, and that is Kang.
You see Star-Lord and Gamora. Gamora's like, I don't know you. She's a part of the
Ravagers.
The Ravagers now. And with Sylvester freaking Stallone, I totally forgot about him.
I liked seeing him too. I was like, he looks great in sci-fi. Didn't he do a really good sci-fi movie that one time? What was it called? Oh yeah, freaking Dread. Which was great. So when I saw him, I was like, ooh, I could see more Dread going on here. I got excited to see him.
Did he do another sci-fi film that was pretty awesome back in the day with Wesley Snipes? Wasn't it called
Demolition
Man?
Like, someone get this man a sci-fi movie. Because he can do it now. Come on now. He's done some classics.
But each of these Guardians, they have a story to close within their storybook and who they are as people. And Michael Rourke come back for one scene and he left one little scene.
All that makeup for one scene.
All that one.
Use your hot, boy.
Use your hot, boy.
That's it.
I was
He's
like,
off counting the money.
That's a quick about 100,000 for me. You know? The reason I'm saying all that is because James Gunn wrote these characters with purpose. And I said all the time in any reaction that I do on Europe Nation Reactions, go over there and subscribe right after this video. I say in any movie review, I say the most important things in a film, the screenplay, the writing. It's very important for writers to get their compensation that they deserve. Message. So they can be on these sets making good movie. Now, James Gunn wrote this, okay? And he is a craftsman when it comes to writing focused films, focused stories.
If I can be honest, I have never liked any of the Guardians movies. I thought the first one was all right. I thought the second one was bad. And this kind of made me nervous about seeing James Gunn move on to DC. I've also seen a lot of his other films, and I've been just kind of like lukewarm on them. You know, I've never actually really thought he was a particularly inspired director or anything like that, or writer. And so I was like, well, maybe he's good at producing since that's what he's going to do for DC. But after seeing this film, like, damn, like that is a good one now. All right, Marvel effed up because this is the greatest commercial for the DCEU or whatever you want to call it than there ever was. Like,
yo, you see what I just did over there, boy? Exactly. This is what is gonna happen for you right here on the platter.
For in every movie, I'm gonna do this for all of them. Like, this is a great commercial for DC. Like, Marvel kind of effed up. They should let him release this because this might be too powerful. And I know that Guardians has got a big following, the movies. And again, while I was never part of that following, this is the first time in an MCU film where, like, I understood it. I'm like, I get it. I see why people love Guardians. The property that made me understand how Guardians could be good was actually the video game. I actually liked the video game quite a bit. And I was like, how come the movies can't be like this? And they did it. Like, they did it. They did the thing. They made me like some of the needle drop moments they put in here. I'm like, I enjoying that?
You want to know why?
It fits.
It fits. It serves the story for purpose. And you know how we always say when there's a needle drop within a film, they're trying to hide something. Right. There's nothing that they're trying to hide in this. This all out to the front. Like, all the music that was in Mario is hiding that there ain't no story in Mario. Okay. Although I did like that. I did like that film.
Fair.
Calm down, people.
I didn't, so gear up. Chris Pratt's character, Star-Lord, we know he likes 80s music and stuff like that, and we understand why. This was all explained in the first film. What's interesting is Rocket, throughout the series, has warmed up to this pop music thing, right?
Yes.
So by the time we get to the end of the film, And Rocket is not only listening to the pop music, but he's singing along and freaking dancing. Like we understand the arc that he just went through, right? So the music, like you said, the music helps explain something. It's not just there to hide away, the bullshit in the corner. It really helps explain the characters.
The music's not there just to get the viewer in and be like, hey, remember this song that was from 1992? It's called Push It. Okay. This film, it made me feel like old Marvel, but it also made me sad for Marvel because I was like, it won't be like this, dog.
Right.
It won't be like this anymore.
Right. I fear that this is the exception and not the rule, right? Back in the day, this used to be the rule. And now it feels rare, and it feels, I don't see, maybe it's just me being cynical, but I don't see anything on the horizon to make me think this is going to change, that their trajectory is going to change. So I fear this might be a one-off. But you know what? That's okay. I'll take what I can get. And I actually enjoyed this Marvel movie for the first time in what feels like eons.
We have the Marvels coming up. I think that's the next one. Is that the next one? The Marvels?
It might be. Actually, I think the trailer for that doesn't look bad, even though I know people shit on it. But I can't tell if people are shitting on it because these are women or not. It's hard to tell. When I look at the trailer, I don't see anything particularly offensive, so I think it looks good.
Right. Me neither, not yet. James Gunn works outside of the template of Marvel, and everyone else is inside the template of Marvel.
Maybe. I've enjoyed characters that I didn't actually like that much before. Like Mantis. Mantis, I was like, what's her purpose? She never served any purpose until Endgame, until she touched Thanos. Before that, she never had any purpose at all. But in this one, I liked her a lot. They were like, she had a whole scene where she was like, they're like stuck with these animals around, and she was like, oh, it's cool. I can just control their emotions and they'll be good to go. I'm like, oh yeah, that's actually like a really powerful power. So I like it. The big characters got big moments, but even the smaller characters that seem less important, even they got big moments.
I'm not going to spoil too much of anything, but there's kids in this ship that need to be free. Nobody speaks their language. Drax speaks their language, and it's the language of being a father. As soon as I was like,
I loved it. And when they were like, how come you never told us you could speak the language? He was like, you never asked. And that's actually like a profound thing to say. Yeah, you assumed I was stupid, but it turns out I had the key the whole time. And that's a really good example of, I'm not trying to bag on Zack Snyder, but I think he's easy to talk about because I feel like his faults are so obvious, at least to me. And it's that Zack Snyder's really good at these big scenes, these big dramatic scenes, but he doesn't seem to understand that you've got to earn it, right? You earn the big scenes by these little small moments, right? These little moments. James Gunn understands that the small moments, the little things, are what you really need to build up to these big, great, grand moments. I loved that. I thought that was just great. And he did that multiple times with multiple characters.
Because what made this film special, it felt singular. It felt like a cap off at the end from 1, 2, and 3. All that was composed into one. The stuff that happened in Thor: Love and Thunder, kicked to the side.
Right. And you actually didn't really need to see any other, at least I don't think you need to see any other Guardians film to like understand this film, because it was just kind of by itself, which I love that. I saw this movie late. I saw this about 10:30 at night, and that was kind of a mistake because this movie is long. It is long, man. This movie about 3 hours. I don't know how long it is, but it felt like it's about 3 hours long. Doesn't mean I didn't enjoy it, but I kind of could feel it in the movie. I'm like, dang, this movie's still going, huh?
I think it's 2 hours and 40 something minutes.
Sheesh, epic.
Yeah,
it's a long movie, but to its credit though, it does feel kind of epic.
I feel like this film did justice to each character. It could put a cap off on every one of their stories. It could either end here, which I would want it to be done, or if Marvel, which I know they will, find a way to get their variants involved and bring them back at some point. This movie had stakes. This movie had heart. This movie had emotions. I wasn't really crying or anything in the theater, nothing like that. But it was making me go like, me too. I'm gonna give this film a B. No, I'm gonna give this film an A-.
A minus.
Yes.
I think it's a great score, but I'm gonna push it up a little bit. I'm giving this one an A. Much to my shock, I genuinely enjoyed this film. There was a moment about 30 minutes into the film where I realized I got lost. And I was like, oh my God, I lost myself in a Marvel film. And I was like, when is it? This has been so long since that's happened. And I thought this was just a really good feeling. It felt like a nice warm hug. Not only did I like this film, but I think this is the best Guardians film that we've got. I think it's better than all three. I really enjoyed the High Evolutionary. I thought he was a great villain. I love learning more about Rocket. They finally gave Bradley Cooper something to do instead of just, shouting and yelling. So, hey, and why not? Bradley Cooper, he's been at least nominated for an Oscar. Has he won? I don't think he's won, but he's been at least nominated for an Oscar. So,
Even for
why
Best
not?
Directing, he's been nominated too.
Right, exactly. He has such a talent here. Why not use it? James Gunn did a great job doing all that stuff. So I think DC is in good hands. I'm still worried about Marvel. This does not smooth things over completely between me and Marvel.
You still on punishment, Marvel. And I have to take it down. I would have given it an A, but I have to give it an A- because of the whole Adam Warlock thing. Because it feels like, which I'm not. Will Poulter didn't do a bad job or anything like that. It feels like the studio was trying to force in the character that they put in at the end of Guardians 2 to say we introduced him at the end. He has to be in this one.
And a lot of people really wanted Adam Warlock to be in Endgame because Adam Warlock fighting Thanos he's got a rich history of that in the comics. And people were upset that it was Captain Marvel filling in that role. So
to finally get power structures.
Exactly. So to finally get Adam Warlock, and he's kind of a doofus, and he's not really the Adam Warlock that I think most people would expect. I can understand why you knock some points off for that.
So I'm assuming that you would recommend for people to see this film.
Yes, I say skip literally every other Marvel film in this phase and see this one. This was
for
good.
Sure. I do recommend this film also. But more importantly, do you recommend this film? Have you seen Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3? Get in the comments and let us know what you thought about this. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. We love making these videos for you. Thank you so much. But if you're new to seeing us, please hit that subscribe button right at the bottom. It'll do you some good. And if you did like our rating and review for this film, please hit that thumbs up. It really does help out the channel. Or you can hit that thumbs down, whichever you choose. It is your opinion. Just remember one thing, it is mostly wrong. See you guys in another video.